Hi, I'm Daniel Jones. I'm a depression and anxiety specialist. Welcome to this program on help with anxiety. This is part of a series I'm doing on self-help advice for treating psychological conditions. Now, anxiety affects an awful lot of people, and it can be really unpleasant. And a lot of people that have panic attacks and anxiety attacks believe that they're going to have heart attacks and believe they're going to die and all these different things. Now, in reality, none of that's going to happen. All it is you entering the fight or flight response, which is a perfectly natural response in a situation where you feel threatened. But when you have panic attacks, often it's in situations where the threats aren't real, where it's just in your mind, the perceived threat is in your mind. And a lot of people, for example, I've known people who have believed that they're going to fall over in the street, and that when they fall over, everyone is going to stare at them. So when they go out in the street, they'll go and have a panic attack, because they'll think that they're going to fall over, and they'll think that everyone's going to stare at them, and they'll believe that's a real threat. But it's only in their mind, it's only a perceived threat. If you get them to a point where they feel comfortable with going out and falling over on purpose, they'll notice that very few people even notice they've fallen over. People just walk by and don't pay any attention at all. Now, to help with anxiety, it's important to understand that there's nothing physical going wrong with you. You're not going to have a heart attack. It's just that your body is flooding with sort of all the stress chemicals that your mind can create to prepare you to fight or run. So you have adrenaline in your body, you have all these other chemicals flooding around your body, and it can make your heart feel like it's pounding away rapidly and really, really strong. And people can then feel like they're going to have a heart attack, but in reality, at worst, you'll pass out, you'll faint. But then when you fainted, you're just going to come to again, if you hyperventilate. And if you hyperventilate, you can obviously breathe into a paper bag or something, or cup your hands over your mouth and breathe into your hands, and that'll calm you down. You can do 7-11 breathing, which is where you breathe in counting to 7 and out counting to 11. And by making the out breath longer than the in breath, you trigger the relaxation response, which calms you down rapidly. And if you just focus on doing 3, 4 or 5 of those breaths, you'll notice a dramatic improvement in your relaxation. Now, other thing that happens is people think back over the panic attack, and they think, I've had this anxiety, I've had this panic for all of this period of time. Just like when people have insomnia. They wake up in the morning and they think they've not slept a wink during the night, even though they might have had 4 hours sleep, because they remember the periods of time when they were awake, looking at the clock. And they don't sort of link the fact that between those times they'd been asleep. And you can expect the best, because it will pass. Everyone gets anxious in certain situations. And again, if there's anything specific that causes you to get anxious, you can plan for it. What you can do is you close your eyes, find somewhere, sit down comfortably, close your eyes, relax, take a few deep 7-11 breaths, and then just imagine yourself in that future situation. First of all, imagine that you're sitting watching a screen, a TV screen, and imagine seeing yourself on that screen going through that future situation. It could be an actor wanting to go and perform on stage. So they might see themselves on that TV screen going and performing that piece on stage. And what you do is you watch that you in the future on that screen performing what it is that you're doing. And you watch them doing it really well. You watch them be calm and relaxed. You have the volume turned up so that you can hear what people are saying, what your voice sounds like in that situation. Perhaps turn up the volume to the internal dialogue so that you can hear what that you on that screen is saying to yourself, that lets you know that that you is really calm and relaxed. And you can watch them on that screen until you're happy. You've watched them go through it a number of times and you're happy with how it's going. You're happy that that's how you would like it to go in the future. And if you want, you can, in the future, chuck in a few little examples of something going wrong. Like a piece of a set, in the example of the actor, falling down, and how the actor manages, how that you manages to keep going anyway. And what you do then is, with your eyes closed still, imagine yourself going into that TV set at the beginning of that situation again, and seeing what you'd see through your own eyes, hearing what you'd hear through your own ears. Experience what it's like to be that you in the future, going through in that new way. So you experience being calm and relaxed. Now it might be that you want a little bit of nervousness left there, just so that you can actually feel some sort of motivation to keep going. Some people say that when you've got a little bit of nervousness, you do a better job than when you're completely calm and relaxed. Because if you're completely calm and relaxed, you're too laid back to be able to do a good job. So you can then imagine yourself going through the situation from start to finish, feeling what it's like to be that you there in the future. And then you can go back to the beginning and do the same again. Imagine yourself going through it again. So you literally reach the end where it's all over with, it's all finished. And then in an instant you flash back to the very beginning again and go through that whole situation again. And just keep going back to the beginning and doing it again. Back to the beginning, doing it again. So you get used to going through that situation. This is what F1 race drivers do, and a lot of other sports people do. They imagine, for example, F1 race drivers will imagine doing the perfect lap repeatedly in their minds. So when they come to do it for real, their muscle memory and their body remembers exactly how it's supposed to go. And it's as if, because your brain can't tell the difference between reality and vividly imagined. So your brain learns from either option. So your brain will learn as if you have really done it that way. What often happens that causes anxiety is that before the event you imagine how awful it's going to, how much can go wrong, and how bad it will be when these things go wrong. And because you do that, when these things go wrong, or when you get into the situation, your brain thinks, I've learned how to behave in this situation, and it behaves wrong. By practicing how to behave correctly, to behave appropriately, to behave how you would like things to go, then you increase the chance of things going that way. And as I said, you can also chuck in a few things that can go wrong. And first of all, watch on a TV set. Watch that you go through those situations, dealing with those problems in a way that you're comfortable with how you would like to have those problems dealt with. For example, with the example of the actor, it could be that you have a piece of the set falling down, yet the actor manages to keep going, or manages to improvise to add that into what they say. So you watch that and you see, yep, that's going really well, I like how that's gone. So you watch it a couple of times first. You listen to that the internal dialogue of that you on that screen. And then you go into the screen in the beginning of that movie on the screen, seeing what you see through your own eyes, hearing what you hear through your own ears, listening to that internal dialogue, and you go through it again. And when the piece of set falls down, you notice what it feels like to respond in that different way. And then you go back to the beginning, and you do that again, and again, and again, until you feel comfortable that that's how you'd like it to go. And it can be quite a surprise when you get to those real situations and you find that you're so much more calm and relaxed. Now, if the anxiety is caused because of some form of past trauma, then you need to get that dealt with first, very often. And that'll be covered in one of the other help with programs.